Matthew, it's so nice to have you with us here today at Restart IL Economy, this very important conference, and to know that Mizrahi Tefahot is part of this important enterprise. So why don't we start by telling us a bit about yourself, what you do at Mizrahi Tefahot, and a bit about the London branch.
Thank you for having me. I'm Matthew Plax. I'm the head of the corporate bank in the London branch. I've been with the bank now for coming up to 16 years. The branch in London was founded in 1983, so we're celebrating our 40th anniversary here in London.
Wow.
And it's a double simcha because the bank in Israel is celebrating the 100th anniversary this year. So 40 years in London, 100 years in Israel. We provide corporate banking services across a number of sectors. So we specialize in property finance, where we provide debt finance loans facilities to property investors and developers who are looking for either to develop asset properties or to asset manage properties. We provide corporate banking facilities, so that is trade finance, international trade finance, working capital facilities for import-export businesses. And within that corporate banking team is our lending to high-tech startups, where we provide venture debt, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. We also provide loans in London for the Jewish community who are looking to buy property in Israel. Mm-hmm. So as Mizrahi is the largest mortgage bank in Israel, we leverage on that expertise to provide loans under English law in the UK for people who are buying property in Israel, and the bank in Israel take the security, hold the security for us, and we provide the loan under English law. Mm-hmm. We also participate in syndications, both in the primary and the secondary market. So that's all our lending arm. And then we also take deposits. So we open up accounts both for Israeli individuals and corporates and for the British market for people who want to place money on account with us.
Very interesting. And you mentioned that real estate and real estate related loans are a big thing in Israel for Mizrahi Tefahot. But here I understand you also decided to branch out into the high-tech sector. So maybe you can sort of guide us through what was behind that decision and how does it manifest itself?
Sure. So Mizrahi in Israel have been a market leader in providing debt facilities to startups for coming up to 25 years now. And it was in 2019, approximately, that the bank took a strategic view to start growing their exposure outside of Israel. The two branches that the bank has is here in London and also in Los Angeles. So having that connection between California, the UK, and Israel, which are arguably the three major tech hubs in the world, to be able to have a sort of a tied up strategy where we all work together to support our clients across all those three jurisdictions was something that the bank saw as a real positive for us. And then unfortunately COVID came along very shortly after that. So that sort of delayed matters a little bit. And it was then really in early 2021 that as the economy started to slowly pick up again and we came out of the various lockdowns, that we started to grow in that market. So meeting people, getting introductions from Tel Aviv, and slowly starting to grow that. So to, as I say, diversify the bank's risk out of Israel, but also to diversify our income stream in the UK.
Here in the UK. So, but I would assume that sort of move requires building relationships, building a network. So how do you go about that here in the UK?
I think the ecosystem here is relatively small. I think everyone knows everyone, so that helps. But there were, I'd say, three ways that we targeted that. So the first, as I sort of alluded to, was leveraging on the bank's expertise and knowledge in Israel to obtain introductions from many of their clients who are looking for opportunities in the UK market, UK and European market. So very much working with Tel Aviv. Number two was just going out into the marketplace in the UK, building relationships with brokers and introducers. So people who were already established with a network of clients, right, who they could come to us. And I think coming to an Israeli bank with that startup nation mentality was a real sort of an easy win for us. So that was the second area that we focused on in terms of winning business and finding new clients. And then the third, which has obviously grown on from that, is referrals. So the best way that we can do business is when an existing client of ours tells a friend or a founder at another organization, go to Mizrahi, they know what they're doing, they can help you. And that's where the growth, particularly during sort of the mid to back end of 2022 and through 2023 has really come from. I think the next stage of our sort of growth and in order to get our name more widely spread in the market in the UK is really to build our relationship with the VCs and perhaps the angel investors as well. So that sort of starting position is a good way for us to then continue building our name in the market.
And you feel the trend is positive? I mean, the scope of your activities is growing? You have...
Very much. I think the downside risk or the challenges that we faced following on from the difficult mini budget back in September 2022 was that obviously interest rates have increased dramatically. So where founders were and we were underwriting our risk when the base rate in the UK was just 0.1%, and today we're at 5.25. Thankfully, the Bank of England today has held it at that level. But the cost of borrowing is obviously significantly greater than it was just a year and a half ago. So that's made it more difficult. But the reality is that innovation is still there. There's a desire for new products, new services, new businesses to grow, and we are there with an continued appetite to continue to support the right businesses.
Excellent. So that would require, I assume, special services. And what are those services that Mizrahi Tefahot can offer today in this sort of niche market?
Sure. So we're providing venture debt. So that is SaaS businesses generally. So there's got to be a tech angle to the business, to the startup. SaaS businesses who have already got their VC investment. They need to have at least £4 million of equity invested in that business. They need to have a product or a service that is generating income, revenue. Of course, they're not yet profit making, but they need to have raised. They need to have raised 4 million of equity. Is this going to be cut or? They need to have raised 4 million in equity, and they need to have had 18 months, 4 million pound of income or revenue over the last 24 months. They have to have raised that. So we as a lender can see that there is a genuine demand for that product or service. And then we can provide either a loan or an overdraft or a combination of the two as a growth capital facility to allow them to, and that really allows them to continue that growth pattern to break even and obviously eventually profitability within a period of generally 18 to 24 months. And the large benefit to them is that they are not diluting any of their equity, any more of their equity. Right. So they've raised a lot of VC, they've given up a percentage of their shareholding, but they've got to a stage now where
they won't be diluted.
They don't want to do it anymore. And it's a niche product, which we feel and our borrowers have fed back to us is important in the journey to get to profitability and eventually an exit. Excellent. Whether that be by way of IPO or merger or onward purchase, etc.
Very interesting. Well, thank you very much for being with us here today at this conference and for all the work that you're doing.
Thank you very much.